Before the assassinations, before the hitmen, the firebombings, the torture chamber, and the underground pills, there was this email from my son's middle school, warning parents about ecstasy pills that kids had ordered online, in a transaction that had seemed all too easy. I've done stories about most illegal drugs, but I hadn't paid much attention to MDMA. It was a party drug and had seemed too soft or too tame to warrant that kind of deep dive, at least until I came to understand the forces lurking beneath the surface. How many people do you think you've killed?
I don't know. For me, it's no problem.
Okay, he's there. I see him. Come on, son. Cigarette in mouth.
I'm in downtown LA at 1 a.m. to meet with an underground party promoter named Ziggy.
I'm Mariana.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So you guys keep the gate closed and
Yeah, we have to, you know?
what do you call a party like this?
Well, this is the true underground.
And what makes it underground? What is it?
Obviously, the sales of alcohol, ecstasy, everything you can imagine.
It's the ecstasy scene that I've come to check out. The letter from my son's middle school had been a warning to parents about 3 teens who had just overdosed on a bad batch of ecstasy that they had bought online and received through the mail.
Is ecstasy a big part of it? People...
It's definitely like, without ecstasy, house music wouldn't be house music.
Would you say that is it popular right now?
I think it's probably the most popular drug in the world.
Inside, partygoers are rolling, a term used to describe the whirlwind of energy, pleasure, and abandon fueled by ecstasy pills. Pills sold by this man, who goes by the name of Peter.
What do you have in your hand, brother?
This is just to clean windows on the cars.
Holy moly! Wow! Oh, so the liquid is only up here. This is ecstasy?
Yes.
What kind are these?
Teslas?
And they're good quality?
Yes.
How do you know they're good quality?
Oh, because I tried them.
How much do you buy it and how much do you sell it for?
For 1,000 pills, it's like 2,000.
$2,000? Okay.
Or $2 a pill.
So you have about 20 here. How much do you sell per pill?
Those go for like 25.
That's a markup of over 1,000%, from wholesale to retail.
This is nothing, though. You go to a good rave and that's where you make the money. A lot of money.
Indeed, it's a drop in the ocean. In the year prior to the pandemic, the business of electronic dance music was soaring. 160 million festival tickets were sold worldwide. And the consumption of ecstasy by attendees is a very open secret.
How do you get your stuff?
Well, my supplier, he always have it, so I just go to him.
Here in the U.S.
In the U.S.
Do you know how he gets it? How it's
No, I
shipped?
don't ask him.
You don't ask many questions.
Ask those questions.
Peter wouldn't connect me to his supplier, so I had to do some digging. Eventually, I found someone willing to talk. Up in the Bay Area, I've made contact with a crew that is pressing their own ecstasy pills. Their leader is a man named Sai, who has agreed to meet me with the condition that we not reveal his actual voice or the location where we're filming.
Sai? Is that how you want to be called?
Yes, please.
So what do you do here, Sai?
We make ecstasy.
Is this the end product?
That is the end product. They're blue Buddhas, 200 milligrams of MDMA.
So what's the difference between Molly, ecstasy, and MDMA?
MDMA is just the raw ingredient in its pure crystal form. Molly is usually referring to this in a capsule form, and then ecstasy is a pressed pill.
Oh, so that's pure MDMA?
Yep,
Can I see? Can I touch it?
go for it.
Can I smell it first?
Go for it.
What happens?
Just don't sniff too hard, you'll be fine.
Does? Yeah, it smells.
A little flowery, a little sweet.
Yeah, definitely sweet.
MDMA is the chemical signature of the molecule first created in a lab in 1912 by the Merck Pharmaceutical Company, where scientists were attempting, but failed, to create a blood-clotting agent. In the 1950s, the US government experimented with MDMA and other psychedelics, hoping they could be used as a truth serum. But they, too, abandoned the effort. Later, in the 1970s, psychedelic chemist Sasha Shulgin saw a different path for MDMA. Recreating the molecule in his lab, he experimented on himself, then gave the drug to therapists to treat patients struggling with emotional trauma, work that is again picking up steam today. But in the 1980s, when word got out of MDMA's euphoric highs, the drug jumped to the streets. Clubs in cities across America began openly selling MDMA pills, now branded with a new name, ecstasy.
We're gonna weigh 20 grams out.
Does it have to be exactly 20?
Yeah. I want to crush it up so there's no hot spots and the pills are evenly dosed.
How many pills can you press with that amount of?
This is a mix for 100 pills.
100 pills?
Yeah.
How much do they sell for?
Retail MDs are $20.
So you can make $2,000 from just today, from the pills you're pressing today?
Yeah.
How much did buying the MDMA cost, just the raw materials?
Oh, I'd rather not say.
That means you're probably making good money from this.
Yeah, it's mostly profitable material.
Right.
And now it's time to really mix it.
Oh, so now it's all just mixing.
Now it's just mixing, now we wait.
What kind of people buy and use MDMA, you would say, compared to other drugs?
I mean, ravers, obviously, a lot of ravers, but people of all sorts, like older people, professionals. I've been at parties, yeah, there's like grandparents there who are rolling and they're just like a cute little old couple in love with each other, having a great time. It's nice to see.
Do you ever worry that this might land into the wrong hands, like a person who's too young to try it or who's not in the right place and things can go wrong real fast?
For sure. I mean, the kid thing I kind of feel okay about because it's pretty bitter. It's very bitter. And I mean, there's only so much I can do about that. Wrong person? I don't know. No, I guess it's just their own personal responsibility to not do that because what can I do about that?
So when was the first time you ever tried MDMA?
Almost 5 years ago. It was just me and my friend by ourselves, and we were just overwhelmed. We were just so like sensitive to everything. We just turned off the lights, sat there in darkness for a second, and then just ended up like walking around the park all night and talking, and like really connecting as people.
Did you like it then?
I loved it, yeah. I felt like opened this emotional window that's been closed my whole life. I just didn't know it. And it was blasted wide open, and when the drug was off, like when I came down, it closed, but it never closed all the way.
Wow, totally blue. So this is the actual pill pressing machine?
Yep, this is a TDP-5.
And how many pills can you do?
So when it's plugged in and automated, it's 3,500 an hour, I believe.
Wow.
It's very quick. So it's been filled, and now the press comes down. Pressure is applied.
Oh, wow. So here it is. So this is worth $20, yeah?
Yep.
Why not make this stuff yourself, the actual pure MDMA?
The chemicals are just too closely watched. It's pretty hard to source the ingredients and get away with it.
MDMA must be synthesized using a substance known as a precursor. It was originally oil from the sassafras tree, but today, the labs that make the drug do it largely by working with synthetic compounds.
And where does this come from?
Usually Amsterdam.
That's right, Amsterdam, the famously tolerant capital of the Netherlands, is also the world's epicenter of MDMA. The reason goes back to 1985.
The Drug Enforcement Administration is announcing its intention to place the drug known as MDMA, or by the street name ecstasy, under emergency controls in Schedule 1.
When the US government named MDMA as a Schedule 1 drug. At the time, nations around the world quickly followed suit. But the Netherlands didn't institute a ban for 3 more years, and criminal groups took notice, using it as a hub to legally produce MDMA, and then illegally distribute it around the world. It's 30 years later, and the industry in Holland is still flying high. I'm here to find out how Dutch MDMA reaches American shores. And there's a charismatic trafficker with American ties who has agreed to meet me. I've been looking for a route into the underground, and I'm hoping Steve Brown can help me. He's agreed to a meeting right on the Amstel River.
But you were born in the United States, right?
I'm born in the United States. Came here with my father and mother back to Holland. My father was GI, so that's how we met my mother. And when I was grown up with my own family, I have lived about 10 years in the States.
By the time he retired, Dutch-American trafficker Steve Brown had moved ecstasy across the globe. And I'm hoping he can introduce me to current players sending pills to the US.
How did you get started in the drug business?
We started out with a youth community center called the Happy Family, and we only were selling hashish. I'm talking 70s and 80s, huh?
Like Amsterdam's red light district, the Happy Family and other coffee shops that sold weed and hash revealed the boundaries of Dutch tolerance and profitability. According to Steve, he was raking in $20 million a year at the time, mostly from illegal drug sales.
And when did the MDMA sort of enter the scene?
The 80s. The ecstasy pill is introduced here by the Israeli mafia. And so they asked me, because I had the Happy Family and a lot of customers, if I wanted to sell their pill on behalf of them.
So you were one of the first people ever here to sell ecstasy?
I was the first on the record.
Are you still involved in the drug business?
No, I went with pension already 50 years ago.
But you still have contacts?
Yes.
So if we wanted to gain access into this drug underworld here in Holland, would you be able to help us?
I will do really my best, but it's very dangerous.
Steve says that competing criminal groups and widespread access to weapons created an anything-goes atmosphere here. He begins by putting me in touch with people connected with European distribution.
This is an amphetamine roll. This is ketamine. This is the LSD. This is MDMA crystal.
Oh, can I see that?
Yeah, sure. This is very, very pure champagne. Yeah.
Is it because it's high quality?
This is a pure crystal.
And where is this made?
Holland.
So if this will all work out, we will have approximately like 250,000 euros.
For how much time of work?
3 days.
Oh, wow.
But what I'm really in search of is connections to the US market.
What are the countries that you guys sell mainly to?
UK and Denmark, Sweden.
And to the US?
Oh, never.
Why not?
2 stories I can remember. One guy and the police came in and they sent him to the States and he got 15 years. Second time, taxi driver, they were undercover with DEA agents. So even you say you're from the States, no, we can't help you.
Because we know that Dutch pills are going to the US. How are they getting there?
I don't know. Those people that send them, I don't know them. And I also don't know how they do it.
So far, I've come up short with connections to the States, but an American source has sent me here, to a warehouse in a town 1 hour outside of Amsterdam.
Hey.
Can I come in?
Sure.
How are you?
Notorious
Notorious
P.I.G.
P.I.G. for pig?
Piggy.
Why that name?
Because I'm a notorious dealer and I'm sort of a pig.
This is ecstasy?
Yeah.
And what is this? What is it?
It's Italian.
Oh,
Painter.
Salvador Dali, the Spanish painter?
Yeah.
He was actually my favorite painter growing up.
He's actually my favorite ecstasy film.
Is it really your favorite pill?
Yeah.
What is this?
Maserati.
Oh, yeah, they have the Maserati symbol and everything.
Yeah.
Where are all of these going to?
America.
You're shipping them all to the U.S.?
I only sell to America because there's a high demand and people that have money for it, they love to spend it on it.
So you're not afraid of American authorities?
No. I've done this for the last 3 years.
For 3 years?
Yeah, and not one has been caught by the customs.
How do you ship all this stuff? How do you ship it to the U.S.?
Just basic letter that you send to your grandma.
Oh, so you're hiding the address,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to say the whole name, but it's Ryan something and going to Michigan, United States. And this one is Christian going to Colorado. This one is going to Florida, ecstasy pills.
Or MDMA. That's a video that I got back from a guy who got all his packages in the US.
Oh, wow. So it's tons of packages.
Yeah.
So this guy received.
He ordered 20,000 pills.
Wow. How do these American people, how do they even know? How do they contact you? How do they know? Where do you sell?
You want to see like my shop channel? That's on Telegram.
Yeah.
This everything what I had posted.
That you've posted.
Yeah.
What strikes me as remarkable about Piggy's Telegram channel, which he has branded Dope Discovery, isn't just the hundreds of videos plugging his wares. It's the unbridled joy he takes in thumbing his nose at the police.
So you have fun doing this. This is like fun for you.
Yeah, of course.
Why is the Netherlands such a center for production of MDMA and ecstasy?
Because the police don't go after it.
Okay, but if they were able to get into this room and see all this and arrest you
Yeah.
with all this stuff or in your car or wherever,
Yeah.
what would happen to you?
I can talk about the last time I got caught.
Yeah, you did?
That was with 15,000 pills and 250 grams of MDMA. And I got community service,
For how long?
150 hours.
150 hours of community service, that's it.
Yeah.
Given the lenient sentencing laws in the Netherlands, it makes sense that so many criminal groups have set up production here. Back in the States, large ecstasy busts are rare, but they do draw serious jail time. 15,000 pills would result in federal charges, a minimum sentence of 10 years, and a fine of $4 million.
What about overdoses? Do you get scared about, I don't know, people receiving this and taking it all?
I had a Dutch client who actually died the day after taking ecstasy of mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Bad, of course. He had to be quiet, which he didn't know, and his counselors didn't know, but it's not a good feeling.
Oh, did you worry about, didn't the police investigate then? Who sold him then?
Death is bad for business, so Piggy says he tests the purity of his products regularly. A preventative step meant to guard against the kind of overdose that I was informed about from my son's school.
What's supposed to happen?
It's supposed to be doing first purple, then to black.
So it's definitely MDMA.
Yeah.
How do you get your pills, by the way?
I'm very close to the source. The only thing, me and the guy don't like each other, so a friend of mine has to be in between.
So you don't think it's worth it me asking you to talk to the guy that doesn't like you?
That's not gonna end up well.
Why do you have a shotgun here?
To shoot if someone goes wrong. If the fan.
It's tempting to think of Piggy as an anomaly, But after my conversations with Steve Brown, I realized that would be naive.
How much has it changed the drug underworld from back then to these days?
So the business in the beginning was actually not really violent at all.
And nowadays?
Well, if you compare it with that time, it's a difference between day and night. Step by step, the violence gets worse, worse, and worse, up till today.
Mm-hmm. And now?
And now, 30 years later, it's commercial, billion-dollar business, and in every billion-dollar business, people will kill. Killing is normal now. I myself been shot. I have one bullet in my liver and one through my arm.
You know, I grew up in Europe. Holland is the last place where you'd expect.
But Holland is a country with many faces. You know, they like to portray Holland as the little bit old-fashioned cheese, tulips, and channel country, you know. But we're the biggest exporter for years now in speed, ecstasy, and big also in cocaine. So Holland is really a country with 2-3 faces.
By definition, black markets operate with their own set of rules. When times are good, money and market share are low-hanging fruit. But increasingly in the Netherlands, when a deal goes south or a player feels threatened, the kind of justice handed out has nothing to do with courtrooms. In 2020, at a Dutch harbor, police officers found 7 shipping containers converted into prison cells, a trove of stolen police uniforms, automatic weapons, and this, a fully soundproofed torture chamber, complete with dentist chair, hedge cutters, pliers, and scalpels. That raid showed everyone that a new level of violence, the kind usually seen in narco states, has arrived in the heart of Europe. I want to connect with someone close to the violence and mayhem to find out why things are falling apart. And Steve Brown says he knows someone I should talk to.
That's all right.
But there's little else he's ready to reveal until we're all in the same room.
This is a very, very old friend of mine. We will call him, not his real name, you must understand it. Because he's still an active killer and hitman.
How did you first become a killer and why?
Drugs conflict, and then somebody must gone. Let's give me money for do this.
So how old were you?
17 for the first one.
Were you involved in the drug business at the time, or how?
Yeah.
How many people do you think you've killed?
I don't know.
But is it
More than 10, or more.
And who are these people, and like?
Everything is with the drugs.
So all people involved in the drug business.
Drug business.
What's the process like? How does it work? How do you?
If somebody was killed, you know the guy how was killed, and you look 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks.
So you spent 2 to 3 weeks doing surveillance on the person before?
Yes, 100% I know is the guy, and he go with his dog into the park. It's no problem.
What guns do you usually carry with you?
38 special. But if I kill somebody with the pistol is gone.
Do you have AK-47s here as well?
They're selling here for 1,000. They're very cheap. They come from the East Bloc.
I understand that you don't think these people are innocent, but at least, I mean, you at least have thought of their mothers and their children.
That doesn't matter for me. Somebody, they do it and they sleep months, not good. But for me, it's no problem.
There's a casual air to all of this that I find quite unsettling. Because if there's a perception amongst traffickers that violence and killing carry no consequences, then it's open season on anyone perceived as an enemy.
If myself or a journalist coming here and doing some sort of reporting that you wouldn't like, would that be a reason to kill that journalist?
Nou, I have a journalist called, it's to say to them, no matter my name, my brother-in-law's name or something, I have warned them and that they do nothing. But if they go the 2 times, they make it.
Oh, so you've had situations in which you've gone to journalists and warned them, do not mention my name or my family name.
Yeah. And I say they do it.
If they had done it again,
Yeah.
then you would have killed them.
Yes, sure.
Every crime journalist walks with a target on his or her back. In the last decade alone, 136 journalists have been killed around the world. But it's honestly shocking to hear it described in such casual terms, by a person who actually accepts money to pull the trigger. So you're saying that you have many times in the past intimidated journalists, threatened them and told them that they can't report on you and your family or else you would kill them?
Ja. En het is jonge guys die shoot for nothing.
I'm trying to get a sense of how much
Money.
How much?
I get?
Yeah, how much back then and how much do people get now?
50,000 euro. Now 10,000, 5,000, 10,000.
But of course, the price depends on the target, and some targets are bigger than others. It was 1 year ago that the country's most famous crime journalist, Peter R. de Vries, was ambushed as he stepped out of a TV studio in downtown Amsterdam.
Celebrity Dutch crime reporter Peter R. de Vries has died after being shot in the street. De Vries, who was 64, was a frequent commentator on television crime programs.
I want to understand what the killing meant to Dutch society. These men, who've arrived for our interview in bulletproof cars and under the protection of 7 government agents, are friends of de Vries, whose own lives are now at risk. I started looking into ecstasy after receiving an email from my son's school. But following the trail of this party drug has led me further and further underground. And now, here in the Netherlands, I've arrived at a somber anniversary, the death of renowned crime journalist Peter R. de Vries. These men are friends of de Vries, lawyers Peter Schouten and Onno de Jong.
Well, what actually happened was that Peter was shot, executed from close range in a very busy area in the Netherlands. And without knowing, he had been observed already for a long time. The killer walked up behind him and shot him 5 times.
The story began in 2018 with a Dutch-Moroccan trafficker named Ridouan Tahi. One of the people working for his organization, named Nabil B, turned himself into Dutch authorities and agreed to testify against his former boss.
When you are becoming a Crown witness, you go and talk with the police in secrecy, in total secrecy, and you make statements.
And in this case, this protection agreement was also made, and it means that Nabil is on a secret location. And that also his family should be protected. And there it went wrong.
Just a few days after giving his statement, Nabil's brother, who was not involved with organized crime, was murdered at his print shop.
And more than a year after the brother was killed, the lawyer who assisted Nabil was shot dead in front of his house by people sent to him to basically liquidate him, to execute him.
And it sent a shockwave throughout society. And I always experienced that as very naive, because they say, well, this is not happening here. This shouldn't happen in Holland. We're so nice and we're a lovely country. Well, we are not anymore.
Yeah, that was a message to put fear in society. You can see it as a start of narco terror in the Netherlands.
Into that vacuum stepped Peter R. de Vries, who recruited Peter and Onno to take on the job of becoming Nabil's new legal team, while himself becoming a high-profile advisor for the witness. He's seen here reading the text of his shoulder tattoo.
All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is good men do nothing.
Peter had the enormous sense for justice and an enormous sense to fight injustice. And he was basically the only journalist in the Netherlands who, besides reporting on crime, really picked up a case and then helped the victims.
But not everybody had warm feelings about Peter de Vries, especially those in the underworld, like Steve Brown.
You want to know, of course, about the crime journalist, Peter R. de Vries, but I have to tell you honest, I might not be the right person to ask about him because I'm a sworn enemy of him for over 30 years.
From the beginning of his career, de Vries was known to seek out high-profile targets and had his crosshairs on Steve Brown, leveling accusations and launching sting operations that they broadcast on Dutch TV. This confrontation was Steve Brown's response to a report that de Vries had broadcast on TV.
Waffele hond! Ja, nou heb je geen maffia-journalisten bij je, hè? Nee, en dan ben je wel fout.
You didn't like each other, but
That's an understatement.
I understand, but there's certainly a part of you that was shocked by the fact that the journalist of his caliber was...
You know what? It's shocking, generally speaking. I'm against murder.
Mm-hmm.
It's always shocking if somebody got shot.
Steve Brown had nothing to do with the murder of Peter R. de Vries. But it's easy to see how reporters in this world can make lasting enemies.
That was incredible, and it was hard for Dutch society to see somebody like that being shot. It was, actually nobody feels safe anymore at a moment like that in a country.
And that, perhaps, was the point. Currently, Tahi and 16 associates are on trial in the Netherlands, with 700 army and police officers mobilized to safeguard the courthouse. I came to the Netherlands to track the major source of American MDMA, but found a country starting to resemble a narco state. A Dutch newspaper reporting on drug traffickers was recently rammed in a van attack. A news magazine was hit with an anti-tank rocket. And 94 hand grenade incidents were reported by police in a 2-year span. It's a wave of violence that has all of Europe wondering what could possibly come next.
Did you know Peter de Vries?
Yes, yeah, personally. Yeah.
Like Peter de Vries, who was murdered for getting too close to Dutch traffickers, Gabriella Adair reports extensively on the Dutch underworld.
When you found out, what was your reaction?
I was very startled, and unfortunately, I cannot say it was a huge surprise.
Huh, really? Why not?
Yeah, my family is from Sicily, and I can't even tell you how much it now resembles the situation there.
With the mafia, with the mob.
Yeah, I even spoke to lawyers, almost crying, who told me, yeah, I just want to stop this job because, you know, they used to have a lot of respect for attorneys, journalists, etc. But that's just all gone. And you also see it now, for instance, if you see the trial, it is not normal. There's so many police cars, so many army members already. And then everybody thinks the Netherlands is so progressive and that we're always in control. But now you can see, I don't know, do we?
I'm European. I was born in Portugal, lived most of my life in Portugal. So the fact that this is all happening right here in the Netherlands is really mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it is, because there's so much money involved. So the stakes are just too high. And also, I think what I hear from colleagues or from attorneys is that really the climate has changed. It became so much more violent.
I'm assuming it also sort of had a negative effect on journalism. Anyone trying to investigate the crime world here. Now people are more scared, right? How's that affected your job? Are you more scared to do what you do?
I did get myself unregistered when I bought an apartment because I didn't want people to trace me.
Wow. So basically you didn't put your name on the...
Yeah, you can't find me.
You can't find your name.
Yeah. So I'm not scared, but I do take care of things, and I just think twice before I do something.
The people I'm meeting next are also taking precautions to keep a low profile. But in this case, they're not worried about the police. They are the police, and are so concerned about counter-surveillance that they've asked us to keep their location hidden.
Thank you.
Go ahead. So this is our mock-up facility. This is where you have all the hardware that's been used in labs. You have the boiler systems, the ventilation systems, and the tableting machines.
So this is what's used to make MDMA?
This is actually what was confiscated during raids.
Andy Cragg is a former Special Forces officer in the Dutch Marines, who now leads the Netherlands National Criminal Investigations Division.
What can you do as a police agency to stop this, to try to stop the violence and the drug business from happening?
Yeah, well, recent years we had pretty good successes internationally. We were able to get into the communications of those drug criminals. We could actually real-time monitor what those criminals were doing. It was as if we were sitting next to them at the table, and we could constantly anticipate on what they're doing, and then we could act accordingly.
The operation he's referring to involved a company called EncroChat, whose encrypted phones were widely used by criminals across Europe. In 2019, Dutch, French, and British authorities hacked the phone system, giving them direct insight into criminal networks, which resulted in thousands of arrests across the world. It's a sting that had a profound impact on the drug underground of Europe. Even notorious Piggy had mentioned it when we spoke.
You know what the BGP telephones that got the French police put malware in so they could read all the messages?
Oh yeah, the encrypted chat where they could read the encrypted chat.
Yeah. Since that they got 90% all MDMA labs, and then the price went to the roof.
And what does that mean for you, for your business?
I pay 5 times as much for a kilo.
What was the most surprising thing you found through the EncroChat investigation?
It is as if you have one big wiretap on the complete criminal underworld. We knew that the drug business was intense, that it was high, but we didn't know that it was that big. The revenues worldwide of the Dutch MDMA worldwide was almost up to 19 billion euros. Yeah.
Are you seeing international groups coming in or foreign groups coming into the Netherlands?
Our Dutch criminals, you see them working closely together with Mexican criminals. So they just switch products.
They bring cocaine in and they take
So
MDMA?
it's cocaine for MDMA, it's MDMA for cocaine.
You know, I've reported extensively in Mexico on the drug business there. And when we talk about torture chambers and intimidation of journalists and even the killing of journalists, there's enormous similarities to what's happening in Mexico with the drug war.
If you look at Mexico, if you see what's going on there, of course, that scares us. So we're very alert of more symptoms of that moving into Holland.
And are you seeing more violence in the Netherlands right now?
It's becoming more violent, yeah. Demand worldwide is growing, and that means that there are more drug criminals, more competition, and with competition comes violence by definition.
The global MDMA business is a wheel, and it is now turning full circle, taking me back to America, to a mailbox in central New Jersey, where clients of the notorious Piggy await their products. I've left the Netherlands behind, but I'm here to see some pills created there.
But I think this is it. I think they're expecting us. Yeah.
Hi, Mariana.
Yes, it is. How are you, Mick? Nice to see you. You too, finally.
Yes,
So I heard you got the package?
I did.
How are you? Hi, Mariana.
I'm Aid. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Notorious Piggy asked 2 of his customers, whom we'll call Mac and Adrian, to let us know when his next shipment arrived.
So these are the packages?
Wanna open it?
No, I don't.
No,
Can I just see them before you open?
Yeah,
Just
go ahead. You can see it's like legit Holland.
So is it usually in packages like this?
Yes.
Yes, and it came ripped too, so I just kind of like taped it up. Just
It came though ripped?
a little bit.
Oh.
So here's the crystal.
That's pure MDMA.
Yes, pure MDMA, same process he uses to make these Maserati pills.
Oh, these are Maseratis?
Yes.
We saw these in Holland.
These two are small-time dealers. They'll repackage and sell Piggy's MDMA and ecstasy, tripling their $500 investment.
So how many of these packages do you get?
Maybe 5 a month, once a week.
So every week you're receiving packages from Notorious Pig?
Correct.
Can I talk about the elephant in the room, which I haven't yet?
Sure.
It's sitting right there, which is a 9mm?
That is a 9mm, but it's actually a ghost gun.
It's a ghost gun. So you use this mainly here for protection because you're operating a drug business out of your house?
Correct.
Notably, even on this side of the Atlantic, the top concern of dealers is not law enforcement, nor is it protecting innocents abroad.
Have you heard how the drug trade in the Netherlands is fueling the violence there,
No,
including the death of journalists?
Priority number one is safeguarding profits.
I guess, to answer your question directly, no, I haven't. I guess it does concern me, but it doesn't concern me to an amount that I would let it affect my business.
Apathy is a luxury that's not available to Tamina Keffy, a Dutch journalist who was engaged to Peter R. de Vries in 2021, at the time he was murdered.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Mijn wereld stortte in. Je belandt in een nachtmerrie. Ja, je belandt in een hel. Het is niet te beschrijven.
Did you ever think that something like this would happen in your country? This was possible, that a murder like this out in the open would be possible?
Ik sprak heel vaak met Peter over zijn veiligheid. Ergens geloof je niet dat daadwerkelijk gaat gebeuren. Ja, dus je weet dat er gevaar is, maar ergens is het misschien een soort overleven door het niet toe te laten.
Do you feel like the Netherlands is becoming a narco state?
Ik denk dat het naïef is om dat te ontkennen. We zitten midden in een drugsoorlog. En het wordt alleen maar intenser en heftiger. En er worden ook steeds meer jonge mensen ingezet. Die uit arme gezinnen komen, die weinig perspectief hebben. En die in staat zijn en bereid zijn om dit soort gruwelijke misdaden.
Do you think that the users, the casual drug users that are, at parties using MDMA, which the Netherlands is such a center for, do you think that they're aware that their drug use and them buying drugs is actually funding these criminal organizations?
Zolang er vraag naar is, zal er aanbod zijn. En dus iedereen die drugs gebruikt, draagt bij aan het in stand houden van die narco-staat. Maar ik denk niet dat mensen die in het weekend en wat dan ook gebruiken, daarbij stilstaan. Dat denk ik niet. Ik denk dat iedereen die gebruikt zoiets heeft van, maar het zal niet gaan om dit kleine hoeveelheid die op dit moment voor mijn plezier zorgt.
In every drug story I've ever done, I encounter this disconnect between the violence of the trade and the ignorance of the end user. Maybe it's unreasonable for a club kid in downtown LA to consider Peter's death and the deaths of so many others before getting their fix. But the complicity is real. Without that demand, there's no supply chain, no billions in profits, and no blood.